a clap, Meg. Otherwise, it doesn't count. Yay! Oh no, I didn't do it.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Oh,
Nailed it.
I feel like
He purposely waited.
yeah.
That's because I have such good rhythm. Well, it's been only like a week since the last podcast.
That's
came
what I
out.
was thinking. Yeah, probably feels like 2 weeks.
It's been
came
like
out.
2 months
I think
since
it was
we
the
did
Christmas
it.
episode, wasn't it?
Wait, have we done a podcast this year?
Yeah.
Well, this is
Meg and
our,
I both.
this is our first podcast, guys,
Yes.
in our new space.
Yeah. Check out the digs.
Yeah, we love
We're
it.
still working on it.
It's a work in progress.
It's totally
but it's-
Sigma, you know what I'm saying?
It's oh no, dude, no.
I probably used that wrong.
No.
I don't know how to use
I
that.
believe
the
what
right
they're
way.
saying now is that you just lost aura for that.
I did.
L.
lose
Have you
a
heard
little
about
aura.
this?
Yes.
You're taking an L. You've
You
lost
gotta
some
take an
aura.
L.
Yep.
Okay,
Shoot.
we can't go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's not.
Of Gen Z lingo.
No.
Man. I
Is it
can't.
Gen Z or is that Gen Alpha?
It may be Alpha.
It's both. It's both. It's,
Now, my
it's like
daughter's
later Gen Z.
Alpha, which means yours must be Gen Alpha.
I think
right?
she's right.
Gen Z.
Is she
Gen Z.
She's like the last of the Gen Zs.
Really? Okay,
That's
so
too
maybe Autumn is Gen Z also, or is she the cutoff?
I think
I think
Avis
Ava
is
might
the
be the
cutoff.
cutoff.
Now,
Let's just say she could
But they're
flip-flop.
like cusp kids, so
you guys are cusp kids.
we are
Yeah.
cusp
You're
kids.
Zillennials.
Yeah,
right?
basically, yeah.
So Autumn and Ava could be like
Zillennials with
Zalphas?
Zalphas,
with
maybe.
an X,
Zulu
not
Alpha.
with the Z, because there's
of
also
course.
Zennials
right.
with a Z. If you are
Right,
like
true.
late millennial, early
Yep.
Gen Z, we are late X, early millennial.
You're late X. I'm full
Technically,
millennial.
you're considered a cusp.
You're so much
we're
older
both,
than I am.
No, we're both technically millennial, but we're cusp kids.
I
So
gotcha.
yeah,
I got you.
Man,
we have a
Megas.
lot of
I'm
Gen.
full millennial.
We have
Yeah,
a lot of Gen
full on.
X in our life.
I
like
see. Yeah.
a lot of analog.
Like my mom.
Oh yeah.
A lot of it.
No.
Yeah.
Okay,
Atari.
I understand that.
Do you know what an Atari is?
I do know
Of course,
what an Atari
of course
is.
he does.
I didn't have
I just
one.
have to ask.
No,
Yeah.
my first system was a Nintendo. I remember my dad bringing it home. That was a big deal, and we played Super Mario Brothers or World, the first one, Super Mario Brothers.
Brothers. World was for Game Boy.
Yes, Super Mario Brothers was the first one, and it blew our freaking minds.
Yeah, dude.
It blew our minds.
I-
Crazy.
I got caught in a rabbit trail yesterday. A rabbit hole?
Yeah.
Down a
Rabbit
rabbit trail?
Yeah, let's go with
I
Rabbit
watched
Trail.
some guy play Super Mario for like 5 minutes. I'm like, what am I doing?
On
I played
YouTube?
this. Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, he's going to warp to this level and warp to that level. I've done this.
Yeah.
I'm watching myself play right now.
It was the music. The music is what
Yeah.
sucked you in.
Yeah, the music was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, speaking of music, did you ever play DuckTales?
No. Wait, Duck Hunter?
No, DuckTales.
No.
Oh,
Like from the
From the cartoon.
No.
There's this. I just saw a video.
DuckTales. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had a video game and a Game Boy game. They both were awesome.
Yeah.
But I think the Game Boy game, he went to the moon, and the song on it, I remember clear as day. And some guy was like, "Yeah, let's talk about this song. It's called Moon Song for DuckTales." And he goes into it and he plays it and he goes, "Something just doesn't feel right about it." And I was like, "Yeah, why does that feel a little weird?" The timing, most timing for songs are in like 4/4,
Sure.
3/4, 6/8, 8/8, whatever. This was 15/8. 15/8.
How?
It's like a Tool song,
Yeah.
but for kids.
Or at least for 4 measures. It's
Yeah,
a tool song.
and then
yeah.
I listened to the song and I was like, I remember the song. This song is awesome. I didn't realize how like intricate,
Yeah.
like these composers
Right.
for Nintendo. I don't know if we're allowed to say Nintendo.
Sure.
We're sponsored by Nintendo.
I don't
No,
think
we're
they're going to
not.
come after us.
No, we're not.
Yeah. So yeah, these composers did like these fantastical musical opuses.
Yeah.
Opie.
Yeah.
Opie.
Yeah.
Opie. Yeah.
Correct.
And it's crazy. Anyway, so yeah, the music hits me really good. All I have to say
It
that
hits me.
it slaps.
Dun 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 dun.
We could go all the way. We could just make the entire podcast about the Nintendo songs that we remember,
Yeah.
probably. But I'm
I'm
curious.
gonna lose my glasses
Since
today.
the last time we talked, which let's call it 6 weeks ago. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
It's been a while.
What you guys been up to? What have you been doing?
I feel like I've already talked a
so
lot.
little
Yeah.
and so much all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
That literally means nothing.
Yeah.
That was
It was intentionally vague.
Okay,
It was
I got
it was
you.
intentionally
I
vague.
got you.
I've
Yeah.
been working on a project at my other job
Yes.
for 2 months.
It's
2
been
months?
84 years.
Yeah, it's been 84 years,
Yeah.
Meg says. So,
Yeah.
I
Titanic.
literally haven't been to staff meeting in almost 2 months. This week was my first week back. I've literally taken this week off, but I feel like I'm doing so much.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, what was I doing? But it literally was, I would go to work like last week, the last 2 weeks for sure. I'd go to work at like 8:30 and I'd work till tomorrow. And then I'd go home and take a nap and then do the same thing over again.
Gross.
So yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah. So I'm done with that job.
But you're done with that job.
Yeah. And I think it looked awesome.
And no more jobs like that.
And no more jobs like that. We're not doing that.
Holy smokes.
Someone actually tagged me in like, we have a New Life community.
Yes.
We have a New Life community. You already know this because you set it
In
up.
case you don't know,
Yeah.
On
we have a New
Facebook?
Life community page on Facebook.
Yep. And it's
Go check it out.
very active.
It
If
is
you
very
are
active.
in our New Life community, come on over, answer some
Yeah.
questions. We'll let you on in.
Oh, yeah.
Well, in that thread of Saturday, there's one called Saturday Side Hustle.
Yes.
And I purposely did not put my business in there.
Because you're not
But
looking
guess
for
what?
more.
I get tagged all the time.
Side
Stephanie
hustle.
Adams, don't tag me anymore.
Side hustle Saturday. Just
I
for
don't like working
clarification.
for people at our church. I don't want it to get awkward because like I work here and
Yeah.
I always do like a contract and everything like that. And it's like, what if someone here is just like a bad client, or what if I'm a bad contractor, which I know I'm not. But like that's why I always do contracts. But I kind of don't want to do any work for anybody here at church, unless they're like a close friend.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, what if things get weird? And it's not my fault. But it's like I work here, and then I'm making it awkward for them, and then does it become a thing?
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah, I feel like it's a conflict of interest.
I won't. Don't worry. I won't hire you. So you got nothing to worry about there.
Well, that's different because like we have a relationship. It's people that I don't know.
Okay. Well, I got jobs for you.
Yeah,
Then.
all right, yeah. I'll see if I have time for you.
I got a punch list for you, dude. If you want to come earn some money out at my house. Well, I'll tell you what I've been up to. Since the last time we talked, I got a full-time job.
Shut up. Where are you working
dude.
now?
Here.
Oh, that's
Here.
right.
Yeah, working here full-time. Yeah. Before I was part-time here. And, the dedicated listeners will know that I was doing this part-time and I was also delivering furniture part-time. And that was fun.
Question mark?
/ exhausting.
Yeah.
And the only real like frustrating part about it was that my time was so limited here, but I wanted to be doing so much here. And like in my role, which is mostly creativity based stuff, I could accidentally knock out 50 or 60 hours here like easily.
Yeah.
Just by getting lost in the sauce, just by like spending way too much time working on sermon slides or video stuff or whatever. But I was very limited. So it was tough because I had to get out of here at a certain time every day and then go pick things up and put them down somewhere else for a limited amount of time over there too. And eventually, New Life said, "We want you so bad." And I was like, okay, all right, I guess I'll do this.
Don't toot your own horn
made
or
them
anything.
chase
I don't know.
me.
Citation
I made them
needed
chase
on
me.
this one.
Actually, no, I begged, and they said yes. I think Justin got sick of me crying in his office and said, okay, fine. If it'll make you stop crying.
Will you stop crying in my office about this?
That happened.
I think my favorite story so far was Meg's.
Yeah, Meg's was, you know what was nice about Meg's is that it left a lot to the imagination. So I'm imagining she's been on a lot of side quests. Actually, I think the last time we did a pod, she bailed
left
halfway through, right?
Yeah, she didn't even have anything to do, I found out. She was just like, I'm going to leave because I don't feel like being here.
It's not true.
Oh, then tell us what you did.
Yeah.
I went and
Meg.
picked up my kid from school.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
that's
That's a
true.
good reason.
Okay.
That's a good reason. We've been on Sunday mornings. We've probably been in and out of a couple of sermon series. I feel like since the last time we talked.
I think the last time we talked, it was like Daniel.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Daniel. That's right.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about prayer now for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that.
Yep.
So why don't we get into some Sunday takeaways?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What song is that actually?
It's a royalty-free song
Yeah.
that I just got for free because I don't have to pay royalties on
Oh,
it.
nice. Yeah. We need to, we should make our own.
We need our own PodCATs theme song
Like us three have to create it though.
that we record.
Yeah. And then if it's so good, someone else might use it. Be like, hey, we
Yeah.
want this to be our podcast intro.
I think the instrument that needs to be most prominently featured in our song would have to be the tambourine.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I think so. But the nice thing about tambourine is that you can have lead tambourine.
Yes.
You can have first and second harmony tambourines.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Oh, too soon.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. You know who will love it?
Who?
Pastor Justin. will
He loves the
love it.
tambourine so much. I was just talking to him the other day. He's like, I have 3 tambourines in my office.
He did say that.
and it's probably because he probably has an alto tambourine,
Yeah.
a soprano tambourine. Although I think he said it was a mezzo soprano tambourine.
Yes.
And I think he has a tenor tambourine. So, they're next to his glory hoops, and I'm pretty sure one of them is like an airbrush dove.
Oh my
Like it's like
gosh.
black and there's like a dove and there's like a trail behind it or something like that.
So we'll record our own PodCATs theme song, and it'll
Just
be
on tambourine.
just tambourines and screaming.
All the tambourines.
Screaming in the
Yeah,
background.
exactly.
This is a podcast. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, we've been talking about prayer.
Yeah, prayer.
Prayer.
Yeah.
I don't pray with a tambourine, I can tell you that.
No.
It's too clangy.
That's different. Yeah, it's where you use the glory hoop
Yeah.
or a banner.
So when we started this series on prayer, I didn't know, I'm sure you guys didn't know either, that it was going to turn into a sub-series on the Lord's Prayer.
No
Because
idea.
the very first one had nothing to do with the Lord's Prayer. The first one was, if you recall, this was 6 months ago, it was called What's the Point? Trevor
Tired.
talked about our daily bread. I remember that. That one was pretty impactful for me. I really appreciated what Trevor had to say about our daily bread not being like, stop thinking of it as food. Stop
Yeah.
thinking of it as like it's provision, but it's Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus is your provision. Like rely on him, and stop thinking of Jesus providing for you. He is your provision. So that was pretty impactful.
I did see the analytics for that sermon actually online. It did better, but we lost a lot of our gluten-free listeners.
Fair.
But
That's fair.
we had a bounce back the next week, so
Good. We brought them back.
that's definitely staying in the podcast. It has to.
I think if I had to pick one out of this sermon series that seemed to have like the most wide-reaching impact, it was probably that forgiveness sermon. Surely you guys have heard a version of the forgiveness sermon many times in your Christian
Like a
walk,
version
right?
of forgiveness?
A version
Oh, yeah,
of
sure,
like,
yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
this, the Bible says like forgive others as you want to be forgiven, right? So I've heard that sermon plenty of times, and I shared a little bit with the church at home people that this is not even the first time I've heard a version of the forgiveness sermon from Justin, and I haven't even been here that long. I've been here for 3 years, but the first time that I heard a forgiveness sermon from Justin, it knocked me on my butt. I don't mind telling you that it absolutely like knocked me out. My wife and I were sitting in the third row, and we were convicted to a point where like we didn't even have to say out loud to each other what we were thinking. When that sermon ended, like I looked at her and I said, "Are you thinking of who I'm thinking of?" And she said, "Yup." And we both just knew.
Say their name. I'm just kidding.
One,
No,
two,
you don't have no.
We had been through some deep church hurt before
Yeah.
coming here. Like we were still, it was an open wound when we came here. Like we were hurting. So we were like, we were salty, and that forgiveness sermon like absolutely knocked me out because I was not ready to forgive these people who had like really screwed up my life, screwed up my wife's life, screwed up my family's life. And we just gave it over. Like, I don't know if it was the right combination of words. It was the Holy Spirit moving in that moment and using Justin or whatever. But like we both on that day gave it over. And what Justin talked about in this most recent forgiveness sermon was about the weight that you're carrying, right? So all those rocks, he brought his backpack out. Nice backpack. He brought a nice backpack out on stage and then
That
dropped it on the floor.
That
and
I
made a big
actually
thud.
hid prior to that by accident.
She almost ruined the sermon by
We
the
were,
prop.
yeah, I went out there. I think it was like just as the countdown was on,
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm like, I
Whose
thought
backpack is
Ryan
this?
left his backpack, and I was like, he knows we can't leave these up here. It was right at the corner of the LED wall, and I'm like, this can't be here. So
Yeah.
I picked it up and put it behind the LED wall, kind of like further than kind of where we hide like Justin's podium type thing.
Sure.
Table thing.
Yeah.
And I kind of like stuffed it back there and just went about my business. And then I saw him. I had like gone out and come back in, and I saw him with the backpack, and I was like, I wonder if he was like looking
disaster.
around, like, because
Yeah.
I wasn't in there to see if he was like, where did my backpack go?
Oh man.
So yeah,
Can you imagine if he
I found
didn't
that
have
out in
that
between.
for a sermon illustration?
Wow.
He's like, well, I had a bag full of
Yeah.
things, and
Imagine I'm carrying a backpack
Yeah.
full of rocks.
yeah, well, it's heavy.
and
You
then
don't know
I
what's in
run
it.
up and I'm like,
Wow.
I'm so sorry.
Wow.
No, I
That's
think
funny.
I realized that in between services, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I won't touch that if I see it again for second
Well, good
service.
catch. He had the bag of rocks in this most
sorry.
recent sermon. Yeah, stop trying to play footsie.
That was you earlier.
Unbelievable. So he had his backpack. He had it filled with rocks. He used a few different, size rocks as examples of like, okay, so the weight of unforgiveness on you is like noticeable, and you know what this one is here, and you know what this one is here. And that just like honestly brought it all home for me, because it was a good way for me to be able to explain to the people who were watching online when I was like kind of breaking down the sermon afterwards that when I did that, when I forgave these people a couple years ago, that's still in my life like the biggest act of forgiveness I think I've ever had to do some forgiveness.
Release.
Sure, do a
Release,
forgiveness.
whatever.
Release.
And it was literally a physical weight. It was actually a physical weight off of my shoulders, off of my back, that like I just didn't carry around anymore. It was so crazy how it was like a cloud just lifted off of my mind, off of my spirit. And Laura will tell you it was the same way. It just,
Well, and I feel
Man.
like part of that is the fact that like, if we're holding unforgiveness, like what does the Lord say about our sins?
Sure.
So if we're holding that unforgiveness, first of all, like it is a weight because we're holding on to something. It's just pointless. It's not doing us any good.
yeah.
But also, I feel like compounded on that is the weight of the sins that like God wants to release from us, but He's asked us, if you want me to forgive your sins, you also need to release this, what other people have done to you, offenses against you. But I think for me, the big key point in all of forgiveness is that it's not contingent on what that other person does. They don't have to be sorry. And as humans, we're always looking for them to be like, we're looking for them to like come to us and realize that they did something wrong and ask us for forgiveness, right? Like we're always expecting, but they don't even care. They don't even, whatever. It's like,
They don't even know how badly they hurt me.
yeah.
Yeah.
And our forgiveness of them should not be contingent on whether or not they know that they did something or they're sorry about it.
Yeah.
But the Lord says to forgive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's
when
no,
we're holding that, when we're holding it, whether they know that they did something, whether they care if they did something, if they know that they've hurt or whatever it is, when we're holding on to that, it's kind of like, I think about like the fact that we hold, right? Like God has, he's the chain breaker. Like He releases us of our sins and the bondage that we're in, right? From sin. And we have all these chains on us, but like He breaks them off. They're broken, but we are the ones still carrying it around. It's kind of the same thing with forgiveness. Like
Yeah.
if we just release that, like we're the ones holding on to it. So we're the ones holding on to that weight. We're the ones holding on to that backpack full of rocks or the chains that are holding us down. When He's like, I'm ready. I'm here. I want to take this from you. You just have to
Right.
stop picking it back up
Yeah.
again.
Yeah,
You know,
just give it to me.
exactly.
Give it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me get your guys' take on this. What do you think about the idea that you've forgiven someone in your heart and in your spirit, and you've given that over to the Lord, and now you feel better and you feel like this weight is lifted off of you? Do you go tell that person?
No.
No.
Just leave it, right?
Yeah, because if you do,
it can breed
almost
more.
it can be like insulting.
Like, I forgive you for when you did that, and then they were like, I was mad at you. You know what I mean? Like, I think just releasing it.
Yeah.
But even forgiveness is not always just a one and done.
Yeah.
Right? It's like sometimes, especially if there's been like a especially big like hurt, right?
Yeah.
Like someone has done a lot of harm to your relationship with them, or you have past hurts from like in ministry or whatever. Like, it is easy to say, yeah, I forgave them for that, and then just like, but you're still kind of like thinking on it and harboring it for a long time. So I think forgiveness is like something that sometimes we have to keep doing. We have to keep remembering, kind of like we daily have to pick up that cross, right? It's not necessarily a one and done. Well, yeah, I did this, so like I'm good. And I think that when you go to someone, and maybe under certain circumstances, you could go to someone and say, or if it came up in conversation, like I do have to tell you that like I was struggling with this, but like I've let that go. I've released that. I've forgiven you, whatever. But I think most of the time it probably just breeds more kind of division between the two people, because that other person could be like, wait, you forgave
me, so it's okay.
Like
I think if you have
because they're gonna be like, oh, you're such a good person, like you know what I mean.
I think if you have a good relationship with somebody that's offended you,
depends.
Then it's a conversation you can have, and then you can figure out. You could be like, hey, I was a little offended with this, but you don't have to say the whole forgiveness part, because then you can kind of see what their thing is, because maybe the entire time, like this has happened with you, like someone's had some sort of offense with you, and then you talk about it and you're like, that was not true. Like, this is what the actual situation is. And then someone's like, oh, I've been harboring all this contempt for you.
Right.
When realistically it was, you were just pushing 2 numbers on a microwave and I thought you were doing something else. Something stupid, And it's like,
total example. Not at all.
Everybody's had that example. It's a legit example. But no, like,
no, it's true, because sometimes, sometimes people do have, like, in that circumstance, if I was like, well, I forgave that person for doing this, that, and the other. But then if you do talk to them, it's like, oh, that played out in a totally, like, I saw that in a different way. Yeah. And it wasn't that they, in the grand scheme of things, they didn't actually do anything that was offensive, but I took offense, which is very much like, we live in a culture now where we talk about like microaggressions and stuff. Like, it's not necessarily that anything was like maliciously done, but like this person took it this way. So this person had an offense. So this person has to be the one to release that. And I feel like sometimes, I guess again, it just depends on the person. It depends on the situation. If you go to that person and you say, when this happened, like I was offended, but like I've forgiven you, I've released that. That may be an opportunity. It could be a good opportunity for a good conversation, but it also could be but that's not what happened. I didn't do that, or I didn't say that, or that's not what, like, you saw it in a different light or whatever. So I just think, I think a lot of times forgiveness can just be between you and the Lord. Yeah. You say, as long as you walk in that forgiveness and you don't keep picking it back up again, which can also be hard because, God blots out our sin, right? It's like gone, done. He doesn't even think about it again, but we're human. And unless you have weird selective amnesia, we don't actually forget the things, right? Like we can forgive and we can move on,
it's still going to be a hurt at some point.
But sometimes we still remember that thing happened, or there are times where I think in lots of situations, lots of relationships, you have to be able to forgive someone for a hurt, but also realize I don't have to allow that to be in my life anymore, because we know that there are toxic relationships, toxic family member relationships, whatever, that like you do scripturally, we do need to forgive. We do need to release that forgiveness, not just for them, like for them, for that person, but also for ourselves in our own relationship with God. But that we don't have to be in those situations. We don't have to keep putting ourselves in a place where that person could hurt us. And that's not walking in unforgiveness. It's just knowing your boundaries and knowing what you will allow into your life.
Right. You don't have to keep every person in your life forever.
No. And even
like there are some
even
that
family
are just never going to mix.
Even
and that's
family
okay.
members, sometimes that happens. If it's let's be real, we ideally every relationship in our family would be great. Every relationship with people would be great. That's not always the case. Sometimes in families there are toxic situations. There are, actions or words that are said or done that can be very hurtful, or can be, or it's a person that's like has a pattern of behavior that you have to say, like, okay, I forgive you for this, but like I won't keep that in my life, because you're gonna get yourself into a cycle where you are holding unforgiveness with this person again and again and again and again.
Yeah, that's where
and
I
breeding
think
resentment.
It's like a twofold thing. Like, you can have forgiveness, but what's your heart behind it? If your heart is to make the person feel bad, that's obviously not forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
If your heart is to grow and heal, that is a great place to be in. Like, that's why it's hard to be like, sometimes, like you were saying it, sometimes it is better just to forgive and not forget, but like forgive and then just let it rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because if you have peace about it and you've truly forgiven somebody, it doesn't matter what they think. Because I was thinking it does, but after you hearing you talk, I'm like, nah, it doesn't matter.
Even if that person is like, no, even if you were to talk to them and they were going to double down on, like, no,
it was you.
No, like,
you push the microwave.
It doesn't
button.
matter. It doesn't
What
matter.
happened with the microwave?
It's a long story.
Nothing
Somebody has to tell
happened
me.
with a microwave. Nothing happened with a microwave.
We can do a Patreon episode.
No,
Okay.
it doesn't matter, even if they're still walking in that, like, if it's, say you're dealing with someone who's like very angry or very hurtful or whatever, offended with everything they do or whatever. Even if you let that go, and they can still be angry and they can still be doing those, but if you do what the Lord has called you to do, and that is releasing forgiveness and walking in love, they can still be angry, they can still be mad. If you're trying to bring reconciliation and they don't want that, that's another story, but you can still release that. But it should always be about reconciliation.
It's
all about the microwave.
How far this microwave thing has gone. I love that.
It was literally the most random thing I could think of, but I think we should now indoctrinate it into our culture.
I told
it's
him.
always about the microwave.
I told him to
In the
never
end.
use the popcorn button
Why
on
would
the
you
microwave.
use power level 80? Gosh,
I don't think I've ever adjusted the power level.
Oh, I do.
Oh, we do
I don't
all the
ever.
time.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, every time.
Yeah.
my
I
gosh.
only microwave at 80%.
I wouldn't know how to do that. I don't think.
Yeah, it's tough on.
I don't know
It's
where that
tough
button
to
is.
find. Yeah.
Oh my god.
We have like the stupid like countertop ones, so like I don't know really how the bougie ones work over the stove and stuff. So those may just have their own set of buttons.
We've got a bougie over the stove one. It came with the house. I didn't even buy it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
It came with the house, and there's buttons on there I have never touched.
Yeah, sometimes the pictures I'm like, is that a drumstick?
I mean,
Is that for chicken? Is that chicken or turkey?
No, but I
Which one
think
do I microwave?
the general consensus is to never use the buttons that are pre-programmed. Like, never use them.
No,
Yeah.
I don't use them. No,
Yeah.
no.
I was-
Everything's 1 minute for me. Put it for a minute.
Intervals,
see,
yeah.
It's not done.
That's
Put
okay.
it back in for another
That's
minute.
okay.
Okay. Well, that was some really good Sunday takeaways. You know what the time is now? It's time
Yeah.
for an ad. We'll be right back. And we're back.
We're back.
We're back. Do you guys want to do some thanks for the memories?
Yeah, I'm always good for thanks
Okay,
and
let's
memories.
do some thanks for the memories.
I-
Yeah, so anyway, I'm thinking about camp. Summer camp memories. Brian's got one.
I do, but do you want to do one? Did you have one that you want to do first?
You go first. You go first.
Okay.
I have a million. So while you're talking, I'm going to pretend like I'm listening.
Okay,
but
yeah.
I'm going to be thinking about
Well,
my
yeah, you can
own
always.
stuff.
The
and
nice
I'll
thing
wait to
is,
jump in.
Yeah, the nice thing is you can just go back and listen to the podcast if you miss it while you're thinking, because
true.
which I do. I don't think, is that dumb that I listen to our podcast after it comes out?
No,
Okay.
no.
I'm like,
That's
I remember.
dedication.
I'm like, I remember saying
Yeah.
that, and I remember when Meg did that. And Tyler too.
Yeah, you're five
Yeah.
of our listens every week.
Yeah. So I actually never really went to summer camp.
Okay.
I
Well,
think
you
I had,
did in high school.
well, no, I did in high school, like as a kid,
Okay.
Sub high school. I couldn't remember what it was called because it's been so long. I went to like a YMCA camp. It was like a day service thing, and then at like I think the last day, like on a Friday, we'd do like an overnight. But it was at a camp. There was like a pond, leeches, all that stuff, you know.
Sure, love leeches.
So in high school, actually, our old pastor's daughters were friends with people up in Presque Isle, and there's a camp up there called Camp Namaca, which I'm gonna ruin this if any of my Namaca friends hear it, but it's like Northern Maine Advent Christian Camp Association.
I thought you were going to say and Canada.
And Canada,
Yeah,
no.
that's where they.
I probably got that wrong. There's
Check
like
it
three
out
people.
though.
There's
We've
three
gone
people.
up there and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
They're
life-
still running.
It was life changing for me because we still have friendships that we made there that are just really good friendships. So Camp Namaca, or Camp Macawak, as my dad calls it, because he doesn't know how to say words sometimes.
Sure, that's a dad's right to screw up every single name. Yep.
So we took our church up there. One of the pastors here ran like the middle school week or intermediate week or whatever it's called, and he went up there and he had some of us as leaders or whatever. We go up there, we're doing our thing. Now, I guess to set the stage, I no longer have allergies to tree nuts, but I did in 1997.
Yeah.
And so we're at the mess hall and we're getting food, and there's this dessert, and this dessert looks phenomenal. It's like ice cream, and it looks like it has some sort of like granola topping or something. And I was like, looks really good. And she's like, oh, it is. And I was like, I'd love to have this, but does it have nuts in it? She's like, nope. I was like, are you sure? And she like looks at the box real quick. No, looks like you're good. It's like, in hindsight, I'm just like, oh, you looked at it for like 2 seconds. I was like, I'll have 2 slices. I'm like the last one in line. Let me get 2. So I eat it. Delicious. So good.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. It was ice. It was just great for a summer day. And so right after lunch, we did like churchy things in the tabernacle or whatever. Or the tab. So we went over to the tab. And I think like they started doing worship, and like I just scratched my head.
Oh no!
And then I'm sitting there, and I was like, "Yeah, I remember this song." I'm scratching my head. I'm like, "Why is my head so itchy?" And I just like kept scratching my head. Now, like I've had like allergic reactions before, and it's always like my tongue is itchy. Like I gotta scratch my tongue. So I'm sitting there, and I like had to sit down. I was like, "What is going on?" And I like take my hat off, and I'm like scratching my head. I was like, I am so itchy, and I'm like, it's not hot. And I'm looking around, like, is it just me? It was. And so I was like, I don't, like, all of a sudden, like, I felt like super hot, like in the face, like I was getting a fever or something. I was like, what is going on? So I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I'll just go to the bathroom. Maybe I just have to go to the bathroom. I'll just see what I look like, because, like, maybe my face is red. I get in there, my face is super red. I was like, oh no. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, am I having like a really bad allergic reaction to like that dessert? She said there were no nuts. My tongue isn't itchy. So I was like, oh no. And I was like, I shouldn't have this in my body. So you know what? I'll just throw up. So
good survival instincts.
So I was like, oh yeah, I'll throw up.
Yeah.
And so I did in a urinal, which I don't know why I was in a urinal now I think of it.
Okay, that's the first time I've heard that part of the story.
Yeah, I think it's because I was like, yeah, I just gotta do this real quick. And it was right there. Yeah.
You weren't thinking straight.
Yeah. And then
as first bowl you saw.
Yeah. So I yak into that. I flush, and then I was like, oh, you idiot. What if there's oils? And that just went up your esophagus, and now it's in your everywhere, and like you're gonna die or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I was like so embarrassed. I was like, forget it. Flush the urinal, wash my hands. I was like, I'm going to my bunk. So I go and I lay down in my bunk, which I know is the stupidest thing. I'm like, why don't you go to the nurse?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's dumb.
No,
I'm
I'll
a
just
man.
lay down and
yeah.
die.
I was like, I'm just gonna lay down.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. I'll sleep this one out.
Yep.
I'm sitting there. I get to my bunk, and like all of a sudden it's like,
Oh no.
I thought by then your tongue was getting
my
itchy.
tongue was felt a little itchy, but not like usual. And so I'm sitting there on the bed. I was like, I should be okay breathing.
Yeah.
And I'm maybe not.
Yeah.
I was like, dang it.
And you had a history of asthma to begin with.
Yeah, I have asthma. So I was like, maybe it might be asthma. But then I was like, I don't know. I was just like, you know what? I'll just go see the nurse. No big deal. I walk over to the nurse. I open the door. She goes, what did you eat? And I was like, what? She's
saw
like,
it on you.
she's like, do you have an EpiPen? I go,
Yeah.
what is that? I have a regular pen.
No, you're probably talking like this.
Yeah, maybe I was talking, hey,
What is that?
I think something's wrong.
What's an
Throat's
EpiPen?
fully
I've never
closed
heard
up.
of.
Yeah, and she's like, we got to get you to the hospital now. I was like, that's like 20 minutes away. They're like, we got to go. Oh, sorry.
Your
Yeah, my levels
waveforms
are
whew.
yeah, pretty level.
Yelling over here.
So they're like, we got to get you to the hospital. I was like, all right, how far away is that? They're like 20 or 30 minutes. I go, oh, is that bad? We got to go now. And I go, okay. So we hop in. Our old worship pastor was up there at the time too. And like, everybody's praying in tongues and like praying for me. And they kept being like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, you guys, I'm fine. But I wasn't. Like, my throat was like,
yeah.
And so we got to the hospital, and
so scary.
they were like, have you ever had epinephrine? I'll go, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Can you just fix me? And so they're like, we're not going to give you epinephrine because we're not sure. We'll just give you a shot of Benadryl. I was like, whatever, dude, it's fine. They popped it in there, and all of a sudden I was like, woo! Like, it literally felt like all the heat went away. I was like extremely lightheaded. I was like, whoa, are you allowed to give this to kids? And that was my story.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then he never had a reaction after that, and now
Yep.
he's only allergic to one nut.
One nut, Brazilian nuts. So I won't go to Brazil. I'll be
Watch
fine.
out for Brazilian nuts.
So that was awesome. So later that night, I think someone dared me. I had braces at the time. They're like, hey, you should put a 9-volt battery to both tracks. And so I was like, what's the worst that could happen? Well, I'll tell you what happens. Your face blows up in a ball of blue light.
Yeah.
And then you're sore for a week.
Yeah.
So don't do it, kids. Eat the Tide Pods. Don't do the battery thing.
All the best decisions are made at camp.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So I just took like all the time for that.
No,
so I
it's fine.
apologize.
It's fine.
Like-
That was I somehow in all my years of summer camp attending and working, like my youth was defined by my summers at Camp Sebago on Sebago Lake. I went every summer as a camper until I was old enough to work there, and then I worked there every summer that I possibly could.
That's cool.
I never had one medical emergency.
Oh,
Not one.
that was the only medical emergency I've ever had.
I mean, there are
Except being
medical
born.
emergencies constantly. It's actually a miracle that it never happened to me because I was a boy.
Yeah.
So I was
Who
being
likes to eat
stupid
chicken way
constantly.
too fast.
Yeah,
and-
of course. That was pre-choking condition. No, you know what?
Isn't that where you developed it?
You know what? The first time that I actually choked to the point where I like maybe should have just gotten the Heimlich instead of relying on my own strength and the Lord to get it out of my throat was at camp. That's true.
Oh.
That's true. And I'll tell you what happened.
Yes, I'd like to hear this.
It was leftovers day for lunch.
That's gross.
No, dude.
That's good?
This was a miracle leftovers day.
Okay.
We're talking corn dogs.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking chicken tendies.
All right.
We're talking pizza. And it was good pizza somehow. It wasn't like bad camp pizza. I don't remember how that happened. But basically, there was like 4 or 5 things that were all left over, and they were all awesome.
So it's like a sampler's platter at like Smitty's or something.
And everybody was stoked at like so staff who don't have campers, which at that time I didn't have a camper. I was program staff. I got to come in first, get my food, and I was in a hurry because I wanted to make sure I got something of everything on my plate. So I went through the front line and got today's meal, which was corn dogs and fries. And then I went out to the staff porch where all of the leftovers were. And I'm standing in line to get my leftovers, and I'm housing a corn dog.
Nice.
Housing it because
Wait.
I needed to make space.
Are we talking like corn dogs like on a stick? I'm thinking mini ones because it's a camp.
No,
No,
on a
like
stick.
full blown.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, man, I'm
hot
hungry.
dog on a stick.
Okay.
Straight up. So I took 2 of those, and my goal was to eat both of them before getting all of my leftovers.
Nice.
So I would have more room on my plate, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't spill on my way back
Yeah.
to my table.
You're considerate.
And it was standing in that line where I realized I'm having a hard time breathing. That's not good. I can't really swallow very well either. That's also not good. And my mouth is full of corn dog. Like there's nowhere for this to go except out. It's not going down, that's for sure. So I got out of the leftovers line. That's how scary this was. I didn't even wait to get my food. Okay. That's commitment to not dying.
Yeah, I guess.
Went out onto the porch. Somebody must have noticed what was going on. I don't know who, but someone like got the attention of the nurse. She saw me, so she like followed me out onto the porch. And we had this moment where the nurse, a lifeguard who was a buddy of mine, and I are all standing on the side porch of the dining hall, and she's looking at me like, "Do you want me to? Do you want the?" And Mikey, the lifeguard, he's looking at me. He's like, "Should I do the?" And I'm just like, just pretending it's not happening.
Yeah.
We're all just standing there and I can't even talk to them. And we're pretending it's not happening. So that went on for about a minute and she kept like inching closer. I'd be like, like, I will not be Heimlicked. I will not be Heimlicked.
No grown man should.
No, that's bad advice. It's okay to be Heimlicked. I now know this. So I worked it out on my own.
Oh, good.
I worked it out on my own, but it was gross. It was gross. And but afterwards I felt much better. I ate all those leftovers. I ate them all.
Of course you did.
I ate them all.
Yeah, you
I finished
did.
the corn dog.
Can I get back in line?
Yeah, dude. I was like, I hope there's still pizza. God almighty, let there still be pizza. And there was.
Moral of the story, if any of you are ever in a place where Tyler is eating food,
Pay attention.
just keep an eye on
Keep
him.
an eye on me.
He can't really
And if
be
he says he's
trusted.
okay, that means he's okay. Like, leave him alone.
Especially if it's chicken.
Just leave him alone.
I've never been Heimlicked, but I have had to sort it out for myself several times.
Do you think
even
it's
here in this hallway?
Oh, really?
You'd think he
As
would
recently
learn
as,
to
like,
just
3 weeks ago.
slow down,
Wow.
chew your
I
food,
know.
don't put too much in all at once.
So the question I
has not
have
learned.
is, do you think what you looked like trying to get it out on your own was less embarrassing than
being
being
Heimlicked?
Heimlicked, than someone doing a Heimlich on you?
Great question. Have not considered that.
Yeah.
Because he was like purple.
I wonder if it was just like a,
I've got like tears running down my face because I'm just like can't breathe in, can only go.
you can only breathe out and you're like, I'm at max
Yeah,
capacity.
just not good. It was
That's scary.
I know me, and I know that I would still resist. I would
would
still
too.
resist like someone helping me.
So
I
if
don't know what my problem
second
is.
moral to the story, if you ever see him, just punch him in the face to knock him out first, and then
Don't ask.
give him the Heimlich.
Yeah, just do
You got to
it.
knock him out first,
What if
so
you
that
knock
he
him out,
doesn't know
though,
what's
and
happening.
You can't wait for me to say
Yeah.
it's okay. Don't
Just do
wait
it.
for me to consent to the Heimlich because I'm never
Now-
gonna.
now Tyler's
I'll
gonna
die
have-
first.
Now Tyler's gonna have people just walking up behind him, like thinking they need to give him the Heimlich.
Giving me a
You don't-
hard slap.
no,
on the
but you
back.
told me in the podcast to do it.
I don't think that you do. I think you're still fine. You don't want somebody to give you the Heimlich because I think it is more embarrassing. So like,
getting the Heimlich.
yeah, because you know my friend Ricky.
Yes.
Or he's your friend too.
Yes, yes.
So we were working together.
Yeah.
And is it okay to say this? This isn't a thanks for the memories.
I think so.
Okay, so we're working together. We're doing siding. So siding nail's probably like 1.5 inches long. It looks like a roofing nail.
Yeah.
So I'm doing something on the ground. My buddy's somewhere else, and Ricky's on
this story.
he's on the ladder. He's putting in siding. He's got a couple nails in his mouth.
Yeah,
He
yikes.
steps down off the back of the ladder, like he's only like a foot or two up.
Right.
Steps down, misses the first one, hits the ground. He comes over and he just comes over and he goes, "I need you to call the ambulance. I think I swallowed a nail." And I go, "Huh? You gotta call the ambulance right now. I think I swallowed a nail." And I was like, "You swallowed a nail? A nail? How did you swallow a nail?" It's because you just call us. It's like, yes. So I call, and his name's Ricky George. Oh yeah, whatever. I don't care. His name's Ricky George. So we always joke that like he's Lebanese, but we always joke that he might be like maybe some sort of Latin descent. So people sometimes think his name is Ricky Jorge.
He's like, no.
So I'm
it's just
on
George.
the phone with 911 in Kennebunk, and I was like, "Hey, I'm here. My buddy just swallowed a nail. It's a roofing nail. Don't ask." They're like, "Well, what's his name?" "His name is Ricky." "What's his last name?" "Jorge." He's like, "Where are you?" I give him the address. But as I'm talking, I look in the background. And so my buddy Ben is like 6'1", almost 300 pounds. And Ricky's like, I'll be
Just
kind. He's a bigger guy. All of a sudden, I can just see out of the corner of my eye his
But
legs
shorter.
going like this because the big guy grabbed him and was trying to give him the Heimlich maneuver. And so you see two huge, there's like 600 pounds of dudes right there. And like one guy's being lifted up off the grass and his legs are just kicking like this. And he comes back down. And then, the long story short, he comes over, like, they got it out. It came and he showed it. And I'm like, there's blood on the nail. And I was like, I don't know how you did that, dude,
go-
but you could have died.
Yeah.
So apparently,
Seriously.
he didn't want to go to the hospital, but they came and I was like, dude, you're an EMS person. obviously,
Yeah.
what would you tell somebody that said, I don't want
Right.
you to be here? He's like, I would tell them that they need to go to the hospital. So he did. I guess it tore his trachea, but he didn't go back. They said he was okay. Then they called him and were like, oh, you tore your trachea. You should come back. And he's like, I don't have enough money to do this. I'm not going to do it.
How about
He's
Ben
fine.
going rogue and deciding to just Heimlich the guy?
I think they must have talked about it. I forgot.
Yeah.
But like the image of just these two huge dudes
I love that
giving
it's-
each other the.
I love that it's like a hard cut. I'm imagining a hard cut of you on the phone with the ambulance, and you turn this way.
Yes.
And Ben has Ricky in a suplex, and
Yeah.
he's just like,
Yep.
give it up.
Yeah.
I love.
That's exactly
that.
it.
Oh, I can picture
It's the
it
best
so
part of it.
clearly.
And then they
Oh,
came.
man.
Everything was fine. He's fine. But
Hey,
yeah.
not only is Ricky fine, shout out to Ricky George Music. Go look him up on Spotify.
Yeah, dude.
Because
Yeah.
if he had never gotten that nail out of his throat, he wouldn't be singing.
And
That's
he's
right.
got a
Yeah.
show this weekend in New York. We're going down to New York with him.
By the time you guys hear this, that will have happened a month ago.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
So exciting.
A month ago. You're full time, man. This is going to be out Monday or
That's true.
Tuesday.
That's true. It is going to be out
Maybe not.
quick. It's going to be out
If
quick.
I can get the audio to you.
Yeah, I'll take it whenever you can. No rush. So we've got some stuff coming up. We've got as we record this, we're about to do For Biddeford, which is our annual day of community service. That's on Saturday.
Yep.
That's going to be really cool. There's so many. I like that every year at For Biddeford, we always have like different types of service projects to do. It's not usually the same thing year after year. There's some painting that will have happened, both fences and faces separately.
Nice.
I don't know what fence they're painting actually, now that I think about it. But anyway, so they're painting some fences. There's a huge block party that they're doing in downtown Biddeford, right near St. James School. So they're going to throw a block party with music and inflatables, and I think that's where the face painting is happening.
Nice.
Also, balloon animals are going to happen.
Oh, I saw that
there.
too. Balloon
Yeah.
animals.
According to Pastor Tom, everything is a variation of a giraffe.
Yeah, that's
If
perfect.
you're confused about how to make balloon animals,
Is
just
Tom,
learn how to
is-
do a giraffe.
Is Tom
Yeah.
making these balloon
God,
animals?
I hope so.
Was
I don't
Tom-
think he is, but
Was Tom the name of the giraffe from Toys R Us?
Jerry.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
It was
Kind of
Jerry,
Jerry. Okay, Jerry the giraffe.
Okay, right now Mary Berthium is screaming at her
Yeah,
radio.
it's this, you guys. Mary, phone in.
Timmy?
Yeah, come
Phone
on,
in, Mary.
Call us. What?
Tim?
I don't think it's Tim.
Definitely not Tim.
I feel like it's like Thomas the giraffe because it
George?
doesn't make sense. Oh, George.
Jerry?
I think
I think
Jerry.
of Jerry
it's
Giraffe.
Jeffrey. It's Jeffrey.
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 Yes, that feels right. Okay, thank you.
Oh, man.
Sorry, Mary.
Mary has pulled
Yeah.
over on the
She
side of the
literally-
road. She's punching her
Sweating
radio.
buckets.
It's Jeffrey, you idiots. Oh, man.
We just
Yeah.
gonna have Mary on sometime.
Anyway, seriously. Okay, next episode, let's make a pact that we'll have a guest on.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's bring a guest on, because I'm sure that these people are sick of hearing from us.
Probably.
They need
Who
they
do
need a
you
fresh
guys
voice
want to
in here.
see?
Yeah, if you've got suggestions or if you want to be the guest, then
We can't
just-
promise we will go with those suggestions.
Oh, we're gonna be
No,
extremely
we'll-
biased.
Yeah, very biased. Very biased.
But we will take it into careful consideration.
yeah, whoever gives us the most money gets to be on the
Yeah,
episode
whoever wants
next.
to sponsor the episode. It's
Correct.
a grand an episode. Is
Yeah.
usually what we get from Nintendo.
That's right.
So-
That's
A grand from
Very-
Nintendo.
Very true.
100 grand.
So I guess the only other thing left to do is I didn't warn you guys about this ahead of time.
Oh, I
I'm
love
sorry.
that. I love that you didn't.
But I love the idea of doing a random recommendation. So I want to do a random recommendation.
Okay.
It can be for anything.
Okay.
Whatever you want to recommend to people, because, and I'll let you think about it while I explain this
I'm not gonna
theory
think
that
about
I
it.
have here. The theory that I have is that I've discovered the sixth love language, which is
Gary Chapman
which
is in his vehicle
I
right
know.
now driving.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
yeah, just punching the air. He's so mad. No, Gary, sorry, hate to break it to you. I've discovered a sixth love language, and it's the act of recommendations, I guess, because
Sounds
I think
legit.
I have this love language. Let me explain it to you.
Yeah.
I love to recommend things to people who I care about.
Okay.
If I'm telling you like, hey, you would love this thing, it's because I experienced that thing and thought of you and went, Ryan should know about
That's
this
nice.
thing.
I think that's very kind.
And the way that I know it's a love language is because you give the love that you want to receive, right? So
True.
when people are giving me a recommendation, my first thing is like, yes, I will do that immediately. Even if I know, like, for example, we have a friend here who recommended to me once, like, hey, you should spend some time making bracelets. And I was like, I'm going to be terrible at that. I guarantee it. But the next day I made a bracelet and I made it for her.
Oh, yeah.
It was awful. It was a terrible bracelet. I hope she enjoys it. I hope she cherishes it. But when someone recommends something to me, I want to check that thing out right away, no matter what,
No,
in
that's
order
true.
to honor, like, you know, what their recommendation was.
You
So,
probably just boosted Gary Chapman's, like,
don't buy the 5 love
whatever
languages.
it is. Yeah. So if it doesn't, if
I
that
don't-
book says
maybe there's
six
a
love
six.
languages,
Maybe there's
don't buy it.
no. Maybe there's a 7th love language that is. What if you did a burger that was like the bun
Was 2
was
McChicken
2
sandwiches.
slices of pizza?
Yeah, I could do that.
No.
No?
I'm out.
No,
I'm sorry, I'm
maybe
out.
not.
I'm out. I don't want red sauce on my burger.
I feel like it could be good.
Well, you
People
could
put
do
burger on
a burger
pizza all the time.
a Big Mac pizza.
There is
I
a-
do
there
do
is a-
that. I put
Not just
burger on my
Hamburg,
pizza.
not just Hamburg, but there's like cheeseburger
This is
like
changing everything.
flavored pizza. See?
Meg, I wasn't ready for you to open up my like worldview like this.
Your palate view.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I need to reevaluate some things. Okay. Anyway,
But
Did
2
we do it?
slices of like
Yeah, we
your
did it.
favorite like 2 slices
it.
of your favorite pizza.
should we high five while Meg
Yeah,
keeps
yeah.
It'd be
talking
so
about
good.
food?
All right, Meg. Nice podcast. You can keep talking if you want.
I'm
Let's
done.
high
I'm
five.
done.
Okay, here we go.
1, 2, 3.
Oh,
So bad.
Yeah,
That was probably the worst one.
No, it was okay.
I love it.
It was okay. I liked it.
Bye.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.